All right, so let's just talk about the Terry thing just for a second. In this sense, I hear all of you guys that are there, and Daly, and JP, and Nikki, and you, and all you guys, that Zach Ertz is still Zach Ertz. You know, as you touched on earlier, Jaden looks like he's still Jaden, and probably a better grasp of everything, and only going to get better. But that and Debo, if he stays healthy, looks like he's still Debo, right? As long as he's healthy. But that on the whole, without Terry, and then you add insult to injury and even not have like a Noah Brown, that it's somewhat of an anemic passing game, right? I mean, those guys are good, the other guys, but they're not. There's no big game threat.
They're not Terry. Yeah, they're not Terry, and that if you took the top receiver off a lot of teams, it's going to make a difference. And not just top one, but Noah Brown is one of their top three right now. Mm-hmm. So, you take those two guys out, and, I would say Terry is going to be there this season, whether it's on an extension or playing out his current deal. He played. Noah Brown, we don't know because he has an injury history. He's coming back from a knee, and you haven't seen a lot of him this summer. But I think what you also see are guys get elevated to different spots because of it, right? Like Luke McCaffrey working a lot more on the outside when he's probably better inside. Or, I think a guy that, to me, that's intriguing to watch throughout the preseason, of course, is Jalen Lane. And he's got the speed, and can you use him in ways to accentuate that speed as he's learning the NFL routes, right? And running with the details of the NFL in the NFL. But he's one where it's like, okay, let's see how do guys like Gallup and KJ Osborne, guys who could be at that back end of the receiver group, how they look. But
nothing about Gallup. Like, he doesn't seem to be jumping out to anybody.
Early on, I felt he was, and then it's just kind of been quiet. But I think when you get those two guys in there, Brown and McLaurin, that there's better depth than there was a year ago. Because,
especially adding Debo.
Correct, exactly. And Debo's a better version of what they've had, right? And the thing, and this is like with Debo even, there are definitely times where he gets the ball and the guy comes up. It's what I say, like, corner comes up and it's like, oh, I was just too happy I would have had you. And he's probably thinking, the hell you would have. I would have through that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's things that he's going to show. But, the rest of the group, I think there's still questions about him. But when the group is all together and, if a guy like Chris Moore makes it, and I'm not sure, like, there's inconsistencies there, right? When you're right now, he's playing in McLaurin's role. Well, that's not what he would do if he makes the roster. So, but it's not, you're not seeing anybody else really jump out and say like, hey, announcing their presence, so to speak. But I think the one that I'm more intrigued by is Jalen, just because of speed and the ability on punt returns, but that speed is something you want to tap into.
John, with most, if not all, of the starters sidelined tonight for the Pats preseason opener against the Commanders, tonight would have been a great spot for Jordan McGee to kind of showcase himself.
Right.
But he didn't make the trip. He was sparsely used as a rookie because of injuries, had a hard time getting on the field. Same thing is kind of happening now. What's the latest on him? I know the injury is undisclosed unless something's happened recent. What's his prognosis as far as making the roster and getting back out on the field?
Yeah, he'll be on the roster, and I don't believe, even Dan Quinn said nobody has anything serious, so I don't think this is anything that's going to keep him out a while. But I still think he's got a spot because you don't have anybody who really can do what he's doing. He just has to stay healthy. But when he does, they'll use him when they go to 3 linebacker sets. Now, it depends on the Packs. Like, if you're facing heavy personnel and you want 3 linebacker sets, he'll be on the field. And, and I think, he looked, when he's out there, he looks solid, right? He looks like he'd be able to develop and help. And then special teams. So I still think he'll be there because, again, he's the guy that if something happened to Bobby Wagner right now would go in. And I think he's the guy that would eventually be the replacement down the road, right? Yeah. But he's got, you want to see him stay healthy because I think last year they said they had him in a couple packages. They were excited about him, and then he had a couple injuries. So that's the only question with him, but I don't believe it's anything serious.